Welcome to the Activation Nation podcast. In today's episode, we have an insightful conversation with our Chief Sales Officer, Kristen Cunningham, and Presidential Consultant, Tyler Daniels. They delve into the transformative power of the Evolve compensation plan and discuss why it stands out in the network marketing industry. In this pre-recorded conversation, Kristen and Tyler explore the unique features of the Evolve compensation plan, share success stories from consultants, and offer practical strategies for maximizing earnings. Whether you're a seasoned consultant or just starting your journey, this episode will provide valuable insight to help you thrive in your business. So let's dive into this enlightening discussion on why the Evolve compensation plan works.
All right. Well, Tyler, we are here talking about something that I know is one of your favorite topics, compensation plans. You have an incredible resume in this industry. And I've kind of been referring to this episode a little bit as like the Evolve Unplugged episode, where we can really dive in and talk a lot about the comp plan. So thank you so much for joining us.
You bet. I'm happy to be here.
All right. Well, let's get started. Really what we wanted to do was talk about the comp plan, not just from how do the bonuses work, but really talk about it from a behavioral standpoint. And there's really, when we step back and look at what do you have to know to create a compensation plan, or what, as you're building a business, what do you need to consider when you're building a business about the comp plan? There's three kind of what I call key principles. So I want to talk to you about the first one. And the first one is this idea that Evolve is alive. And that might sound a little creepy. But the purpose of that is to say that, this industry has been around a long, long time, right? 100 years, probably getting up on that. And plans that worked 100 years ago definitely don't work today. Plans that worked 10 years ago don't work. Even plans that were 5 years ago are probably a little less relevant because human behavior is consistent for sure, but the mechanics of how we do the things we do changes along the way. So how important is it for people to think of the comp plan as something that can kind of evolve over time?
I think that's a really great lead into this conversation because most of us have had several things change throughout our lives. I mean, we use phones different today than we used before. And so for a compensation plan to be alive, to me, what it means is that you're current. It means that you're modern. It means that you're paying attention to what's going on around you. It means that you're making sure that you have an offering to people that is competitive with what other industries or other companies are offering when someone is looking for a way to supplement their income. You need to know that you have a company that has an awareness of keeping their compensation plan competitive. And so it's probably one of the things that's overlooked in many cases because companies get into a little rut, if you will, and they get comfortable, if you will, and they just kind of stay there. And they're a little afraid to make small changes because of just maybe some past experiences. But I believe if you want to have a real competitive offering, you better be paying attention to what's going on around you. You better make sure that you are rewarding people for the behaviors that are going to create the kind of activities that will grow your business and give them the best chance for success. So really, really important thing. You guys really.
Yeah. I look at it too. A lot of companies, and we spend a ton of money like on clinical studies for products, but do companies treat their compensation plan the same way? And what I love about the Evolve plan is it wasn't just like, let's create something that we love in a vacuum. Like we partnered with the outside firms to really help us and almost do kind of that clinical study on the plan itself. So I think it's important that people kind of think of it that way too.
I do too. And, and the other thing I would say about that is that it's really comforting to me to know that we have a corporate team that is willing to make those kind of investigations, if you will, or hire the kind of people that will do like a forensics on what we're doing to make sure that we are staying relevant. I like the fact that our corporate team had the awareness or the willingness to go out and make sure that we are always at the forefront of the conversation. So I big shout out to our corporate team.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. You're always so good to recognize people. I love that about you, Tyler. But the next principle, it's actually a great dovetail into just why we did what we did a few years ago with our compensation plan project. But we had this idea, actually, Steve Fife, our CEO, had this vision that, for companies to stay relevant, they have to be able to say yes to different kinds of people. And you had your influencers who just love selling incredible products, but you also had your team builders who knew how to build great, amazing teams and leveraged income. And you had to have a plan that could really be a place for both of those people. And Steve calls it the and company. How important is that when you're looking at comp plans to say, hey, this is great for the customer gatherer, for the influencer. This is great for the team builder and the more traditional network marketer.
Well, I mean, again, it kind of falls back on to who do you want to attract, right? And one of the hardest lessons for me early on was to realize that people don't all think just like me. And I know there's a lot of other people that want everyone to tell the same story and make sure that the messaging is exactly the same. But the reality of life says that you're going to have people that are more comfortable on social media, or you're going to have people that are more comfortable having in-person meetings. You're going to have people that only want to sell products to the consumer that's a customer, but there's those people that want to sell products to the consumer that is also a consultant that wants to generate, their own team or build their own team or find their own customers. So you've got to, in my opinion, you've got to have a plan that appeals to the broadest cross section of people so that we have something for everybody. That's the way you build solid businesses, and that's the way you can build a subscription model, not just on the consultant or just on the customer, but one that is constantly expanding, right? Constantly growing, constantly inviting people to help us tell the story, and then it has some longevity attached to it. So you better have a plan that appeals to a really, really broad demographic, in my opinion.
I love that. And it is, and that's like the prime example of how this industry has evolved with just social media and different things. But the other thing I love about it is you don't have to decide. I mean, I don't have to come in and declare, I'm going to build this way, pay me these bonuses.
Think about this too, Chris. I mean, you've got people that maybe had a positive or negative experience in the past that might be hesitant or even excited. But the people who are maybe a little hesitant on the traditional methods of building out teams, one of the things that I believe is that when you have a company like ours, when you have a company that is very, very committed to this validation in their product line, they're going to gather a lot of those customers. And we have a way to pay them a significant amount of money for doing the gathering process just from the customers. But if your products are as significant as we believe ours are, some of those customers are going to turn into teammates of yours. So you want to be able to let people evolve into this compensation plan from any angle. I mean, what if you just had a giant customer base and 5, 6, 8, 10 of those people say, hey, I want to tell my friends too. We have a pathway for that kind of a mindset, even if that's where you start. Now, you don't have to start there, right? You don't have to start by just gathering customers. You can be like me and immediately build a team. But I find a lot of comfort in knowing that the people on my team that don't start the way I did have a pathway to actually build a team from their customer base. And so it's important to me that we can attract all of those people.
Yeah. Yep. And again, you don't have to decide. Like, the plan is literally structured. So whatever you do, that's how it's going to pay you. So it's not like you have to come in and say, I want to build only this way. Like, it's very thoughtful with that.
We do.
Right.
One of the things I wish I could get a lot of the consultants to really embrace is to accept people where they're at. Show them a pathway, be educated enough in the plan to show them that however they want to start, there's a pathway to reach their goals.
I love that. Well, the next point that I want to bring up is a little counterintuitive. And, it's one of those things that, like, when someone says it, it's like, oh, yeah, that's great. Yes, that's what we need. But then if you really understand kind of the psychology on a comp plan and how they work and what they're rewarding, when you hear this, it should actually frighten you a little bit. And that's this idea that the best plans are the simplest plans. And I always challenge people. I'm like, yes, we don't want to be overcomplicated. And I think we've done a great job with Evolve to make sure that it is simple but accurate in how it rewards. And so rather than saying, oh, yeah, it's just so simple, I think the idea that we really need to look at, and what I think is so special about Evolve, is that it rewards the right behavior at the right times. Like, when you order a product, it's paying a lot of people. So if the plan is so simple that it's just like, oh, you earn this, then you probably don't have a network marketing compensation plan. You probably have an affiliate plan. So how important is this idea that, like, yes, let's make it simple, but not so simple that we forget that there's a lot of different behaviors that a leader has to master in this business. So you got to pay for a lot of different behaviors.
I think what you're saying is spot on. In fact, I would ask a question about what you're saying. I would say, what if there was a way when you're brand new to be able to explain the behaviors in a simple in a simple manner. But then as you learn this compensation plan, you start to learn the technical pieces of it and why you need to pay deeper than just say 2 or 3 levels, and why you need to have some complexity in a plan. Things like, where is the leader going to show up in your organization? Is it within your first 2 or 3 levels, or is it going to be somewhere down in the organization? Are you rewarded for finding and identifying that leader deep into the organization? And when you start to understand that the simplicity piece is in explaining the behavior you're trying to pay, which is, say, gathering or team building, leadership development, or even a cultural bonus, but the complexity comes and is necessary. The complexity is necessary when you start to realize that somebody's probably going to show up on your team deep into your organization, and you want a comp plan that's complex enough to be able to allow you to mentor and get paid from that time commitment that you make to someone else. And so the simplicity is important from the point of view that you're going to explain the 3 or 4 or 5 different behaviors that we want to reward. But complexity is necessary if you're going to truly have a plan that is competitive, one that is going to reward someone for building large organizations, creating massive exposure for the company. It's a real piece, you guys. Simple in the beginning, but the complexity has to be there so that we can reward you for building.
I love that. And again, it's one of those things that people will say it all the time. And if you don't know, like, you could be excited about something that actually could be very harmful to your business. And our approach was, it can't be that you have to learn everything all at once. Like, that is way too overwhelming. But how we tried to really make the approach understandable was by looking at the comp plan and saying, we've got three phases of it. We've got the front end, which is the share phase, the build and grow phase, which is kind of that middle, let's build subscriptions, and then the leadership phase, where it's all about leading teams and teaching and training. And so, do you feel like that was the right approach in terms of making it easy to understand, but also making it so that we're rewarding a lot of people at the right time for the right behaviors in their business?
I do, and I'll tell you why. And it's because it wasn't just one mind that put this thing together. We, like you said earlier in this call, we hired one of the best, one of the biggest, one of the most educated, the people that have the kind of systems in place that can help us look at what the industry is doing, what people outside the industry are doing, and come up with this share, build, and grow idea. We want people to be able to gather in whatever way they're comfortable as they build their confidence. So you have to have a share bonus where you can find those consumers that are both customers and consultants. It's got to be something that's relatively simple to understand in the beginning, but you cannot discount how important it is to go out and actually identify and build leadership through your organization. It's the independence in your organization that gives you that financial security long term. We also have the cultural piece in the end, where you want the company to be able to benefit from the success that your leaders are having, whether they're part of an organization or not. And so when you get into the final phases of this business, where someone might be at an event, let's just say, and they're out in the hallway getting asked questions, they don't have to ask, whose team are you on first? Because we have a share bonus at the very, or a grow bonus in the very end that's cultural. It's a share of a pool that people will get based on the entire volume of the company. So it's really critical, in my opinion, if I'm looking back at my experience, to say this is not something you need to learn on day one. We want you to walk through this no different than going to school, no different than you're going to learn something different in second grade than you did in first, or you're going to learn something different in the second year of college than you did in the first year of college. So we want to walk you through that initial piece where you're going to be telling the story, where you're sharing the information and asking people to decide if they want to be just a customer or if they want to be a consultant. We want you to learn that, and we want it to be simple enough that anybody could say it. You don't have to be big in the business, or you don't have to refer someone to somebody big in the business so that the information is accurate. So it's really, really important that you understand the phases, the evolution of what someone's going to go through as they learn our compensation plan. So I think it's completely appropriate. I know that when we sat in that room, you guys, for all of you that are listening out there, that it was really important for us to be aware of what other companies are having success with as well. And any place that we could add something that they're seeing success with into our plan without damaging another piece, we implemented that here. Like with the idea that we wanted to be competitive, that we wanted to be also very, very current in what people's or what comp plans are driving the best behaviors. And so very, very appropriate, Chris. And I love the format that we use, because it was a collection of data from a lot of different sources that came up with this plan.
Love that. Well, that's a great segue into what we want to spend kind of the next several minutes talking about. And that's looking at the bonuses within the plan. And high level, here's how they work, but here's why they work, and here's what they should really be creating in your business. So we're going to start in the share section. And Tyler, the first bonus that we have is very self-explanatory, pretty simple, and that's the customer sales profit. Why is that bonus? Like, what is the purpose of that bonus?
Okay, so there's a lot of people that are looking at this industry and the years and years and years of this industry where people would start a business and then you had a period of time where you might have to wait to actually see some financial benefit. Well, we said that's got to end. We've got to create an environment right now where you can do work today and get paid this week. We want you to be able to go out and share this information with people that are going to have the benefit of our products because we know that they're validated by, the experts in our, universities around the world, by the way. We know people are going to use these products and have an immediate benefit. So we want to encourage someone to go out and talk about it as much as possible. So we have the customer side of this where you're going to make the difference between the consultant price and the customer price. You're going to get 100% of that difference. That difference is 10% on subscriptions and 20% on retail. So when the company or when you find someone who's going to buy it, the company will actually gather the credit card. They will collect the payment. They will ship the product, make sure that all this stuff happens. They will also send you 100% of that difference between the consultant price and the customer price. It's an attempt to give you money quick. It's an attempt to go out and give you confidence that this thing is working. It's an attempt to get the results of that product that the customer is going to use as fast as possible, because we believe not only is getting you paid really powerful in giving you confidence to go tell the story again, it's also when that customer comes back and says, hey, I feel better. I feel different. Something's happening for me. Thank you for bringing this information to me. It starts to give people the confidence to go out and have the courage of having more conversations. And that's the entire goal here, you guys. We want to minimize the length of time that it takes for someone to have the courage to have the next conversation. So we do that very, very quickly in the beginning. One of the unique things, though, as it transitions into the team building piece, is that when your teammate goes out and finds their customers, that volume is on the same level as your teammate. So you're getting paid a higher commission on the following month. So we pay weekly bonuses. I say weekly. They call them, some of them are daily, but I say weekly because it can take 2 or 3 days sometimes to process that stuff. But we also have that monthly bonus that is a secondary confidence boost, a secondary income. It's something that comes to people by hitting there's 4 different levels. It pays them again for hitting certain levels of volume, for total volume, not just on the single customer that they have. So we're trying to create an environment where you get immediate success, immediate response, immediate financial return, as well as a secondary response for the accumulation of all the volume that you do within 1 month. So very, very effective, you guys, very, very competitive in today's world.
So we pay you the difference between the price you pay and the customer pays, and that pays weekly, daily. You're right. That's the quick payment. And then we look at everything you did that month and said, if you did 500, we're going to give you an additional bonus. If you did 1,000, an additional. So we continue to pay you based on the total monthly accumulation as well. I love that. So the next kind of phase of the plan and kind of that share section is really your first 90 days in the business, which is your launch period. This is when, you talked a lot about this, Tyler, but it was get an early success. So a lot of this too is really centered around finding that first business partner. So this is where, again, the customer side, if you want to sell product only, like that's going to pay you up to 40%. But as soon as you raise your hand and say, I want to build a business, and you do that by enrolling a consultant, is literally all you have to do. But how important is that launch period, particularly to encourage people to find a business partner?
This is a conversation that we've had a lot over the years, and there's a couple different ideas on why is it important for someone to go out and get a pretty significant amount of money for the process of asking a member to join you, like a teammate, have someone to start building your group with you to help tell the story. Well, one of the ways that people look at it is, how do I get my money back the fastest, right? I mean, if I'm going to spend $500 or $1,000 to join this company and start telling people about it, what's the fastest pathway for me to get that money back? That's one way to look at it. And so we have a launch period in our company where you've got the month you join plus another 3 months, where we're going to give you basically 20%. I'm going to jump through a couple of things. We're going to give you 20% upfront for the actual enrollment of that consultant member. We're then going to have another pay that comes through the level bonus in the following month on the 15th. So when you look at that, you're going to make somewhere, between 25 or 30% on all of that enrollment volume that allows you to get that initial investment back as fast as possible. Now, that's one way to look at it. The other way that I look at it, though, is I'm not trying to just get my money back. I want to go out and I want to generate income. I want a return on investment. I want to know that there's a pathway for me to have a significant return. So am I only trying to get my money back by going out and getting, that 30%, which means you basically have to sign up 3 or 4 people the same way you signed up? Or do I want to go out and get 5, 6, 8, 10 people? Well, I want to go build a team. I want 5, 6, 8, 10 people as fast as I can. So we say the month you enroll plus those extra 3 months is where you're going to get that extra, you're going to get that 20% to create a little sense of urgency, not just to get your money back, but to also have a bigger organization. We want you to have an incentive to go out and have a conversation more than what you would just normally have through say a team building bonus. Now, after that, long term, as you start building your team, you'll still get an extra 10% plus whatever, bonuses you get throughout your level bonuses. You'll still get that. But we want urgency right now. Take advantage of the first 90 days when it's probably the first contact that you're going to have with your names list. And so we created an environment where you can make extra money to get out of the gates fast. So why? Why would we do that? Some people go, well, why is there a deadline? Why wouldn't you just continue to pay that forever? Well, the reason, you guys, is because we know that there's a lot of outside influences in your life. We know that there's a lot of naysayers out there. There's a lot of other conflicts that you might have, just natural things that happen in life. And we want to give you that extra incentive to overcome that as fast as we possibly can. It's very difficult for someone to question what you're doing when you've had a lot of success really, really early. And so we want to encourage that behavior. So very, very big bonus, you guys. Team building bonuses last for obviously the rest of your experience with our company. We just wanted to create some urgency in the very first 90 days.
I love that, Tyler. And the other thing I'll add too is, as you enroll consultants, as you sell to customers, as they do the same, you rank advance, you move up in rank. And the goal that you should have for your rank by the time you get through that launch period is SC1. So we give you an additional rank advancement bonus. When you hit SC1 at the end of launch period, you get a one-time just $150, which is great. But the psychology of it too goes into something that you just said, is help people feel like they're winning. When they do that, they've rank advanced 3 times. And to be able to celebrate and say, oh, congratulations, you hit this rank, then this rank. There's a lot of psychology in the recognition side of it too. It's not just about, well, how much money am I going to make?
Absolutely. I mean, in fact, there's, when I was in the early days, when I was spending a lot of time with my mentor, one of the things that she would tell me is that there's people that come to these events just for that recognition. They're not even necessarily there because their check goes up every month. They want to be a part of something. They want to be a part of something where they feel inclusion, where they feel like they're, it might be bigger than them, but it's a project that we're working, with locked arms. And so, recognition, you guys, is one of the things I didn't understand in the beginning because it was not as important to me as it seems to be to a lot of others. But over the years, I've basically kind of fell in love with it. Recognition is one of those things that is so easy to do if you're just paying attention to what people are doing. It's one of the things that you can give out for free, really. I mean, it's one of those things that if you're just aware, and it makes people feel so good. It makes them feel like they're welcome. It makes them feel like they have a home here. And it's really, honestly, what creates the bonds that I think last long term in this business. So get people through those first 3 ranks. Get them to that SC1 rank. Get that $150 bonus for them within their launch period so that they can start feeling that acceptance that comes with all the rank advancements. So, just interestingly enough, we had one of the biggest rank advancement months that we've ever had just in the last 30 days. So just in September, we had one of the biggest rank advancement months that we've ever had. Kind of an exciting time to be a part of the company.
Love that, definitely. Well, so that kind of gets us out of the share section. We said we have share, build and grow, and lead. So I feel like we've covered a lot on that. I want to jump to the build and grow section. And you touched on this a little bit, Tyler, but this is where we have level commissions that start to kick in. And when I think about this phase of the plan, really what I think about is this is you, number one, starting to develop other team members, like kind of dipping your toe in that like leadership kind of conversation as you build through the ranks. But really, this is where you're starting to be rewarded on increasing your subscriptions. This is kind of like the base of the comp plan, where it's like, we're going to reward you every single month on the levels, on obviously all orders, but really it's about that consistent subscription order. So talk to me about the build and grow section and how you really look at that in terms of the psychology of this section and what people should really be focused on here.
Obviously, this is the thing that I think we all hope that we can make really, really big. We talked earlier about your compensation plan being a living thing. I call the subscriptions the blood of the organization. That's what it is. If this compensation plan is living, the blood would make sense. It's the thing that will literally keep this thing alive. And so people ask me all the time, they say, Tyler, you have an enrollment piece and then you have the subscription piece. Which one is the most important? Well, obviously someone has to enroll to get to the subscription, but if you have a long-term view of what's happening, the subscription part is the single most important part of the long-term experience that you're going to have. So the beauty of subscriptions, you guys, in a company like ours, is that these products are so validated, they're so verified, they're published. The benefits are published in medical journals. They're published in from a peer review into medical journals, which means these people are probably going to use them for the rest of their life. The important thing about the subscription is to understand that we package all these products in 30-day supplies. So if you're doing a really good job of exposing people to what these products can do for them, the benefit they're going to get, through this activation process that we walk people through about make your body work like it did when you were young, give it the building blocks it needs to repair things the way that it needs to, and then obviously get yourself into the physical conditions so that you can experience life at a higher level, which is kind of the three main things you're going to hear people talk about here for a while. The better you are at helping people understand that, the longer they're going to be on subscription. And the goal is to have them be on subscription for the rest of their life. Because as you understand what these products do, you don't want to ever stop taking them. If you're truly looking for the long-term benefit, preventative maintenance side of this, and then get the current, the immediate benefit of some of the additional activation products, they're going to need to use these products for the rest of their lives. You need them to be on a subscription. They're going to want to be on a subscription so that you don't have to have the conversation over and over and over again every single month just to meet the volume requirements that you have to get the highest level of financial return. So it's really important, you guys, that you understand that the subscription model is what is attached to your freedom. It's the very thing that will give you the consistency of income. The subscription model is the one that gives you that longevity, the stability. It's the foundation or the bloodline or the blood of your business. Look at it. So subscriptions, you guys, should be your focus. And obviously the products are so impressive that as we continue to add them, the goal is to have additional products in the future that add to the subscription, not cannibalize what's already there. And so we're very, very good at this. I will just throw it out there one more time. The decisions that have been made by our corporate team and the advice that the Field Advisory Board and the other leaders in this company have been giving for the last 3 years have been absolutely spot on. They're the reason that I believe in this public company, you have so many investors looking at this saying, hey, I believe in the future of what's going on. Just go see what other people are seeing from the outside in. And it's based on the last 3 years of decisions. It's based on the ability for our company to give you the best chance to build the subscription base. Subscription bases, you guys, are more they're more balanced. They have a lot more consistency in them. And so we focus heavily on that subscription base. Keep this in mind. Keep one thing in mind. If you're looking at how do you build a larger customer base, remember that if you find 5 or 10 customers in month 1, when they order their subscription in month 2 and you go get 5 or 10 more, you're adding to that consistency or that stability every month rather than having to just repeat it over and over and over again. So the 5 or 10 you got in month 1 counts towards your total volume again in month 2. And because they're on subscription. It's really important to understand the subscription model.
And what I'll say right there, Tyler, we talked about the and company of you can sell product, you can build a business. What you just said right there, we have a lot of social influencers who will come in because our products are awesome. Like they just, as soon as you experience, I'm confident everyone will love our products. But a lot of these influencers, they make us sell once and then they're starting over every single month. This industry is so appealing to them because once I sell to a customer once, I'm rewarded every time they order. So what you just said is what I see a lot of times where somebody comes in and they say, oh, well, you're going to sell products. I'm excited about this. But then this idea of not having to start over and continuing to earn on those first sales, that's where a lot of people kind of make that decision to say, well, maybe I need to look at this team building a little bit more than I thought.
Yeah. It's a big deal. I mean, think about this. If you can do the work properly one time, you get paid multiple times from doing the work properly one time, right? Because they're going to buy it next month, whether you talk to them or not. So you do the work properly one time and get multiple paychecks from doing it properly. It'd be like this. It'd be like going to work for an hour and having your boss pay you for another hour after you have already given them the hour. You don't have to give them another hour. They just keep paying you for that hour over and over and over again because you did the work properly. That's what it's.
I love it. You said something to me a couple months ago. You said, you can enroll without a subscription, but you can't be on a subscription without enrolling. So focus on making sure that you enroll somebody with that subscription. Love it. Okay, so that's a good transition into like the last phase of our plan, which is all about leadership. And I mentioned in that build and grow phase, you're talking about that's when you are just kind of dipping your toe in. You're starting to have success with other consultants. You maybe get to the first leadership rank of MC1, which is super important. So I'm going to ask you to touch a little bit on that. But really, the leadership phase of this business is a totally different way to look at your organization. So talk to me a little bit about kind of that first milestone rank, which is MC1, but then that kind of sets up the leadership phase, which we're going to talk about a little bit next.
Well, let's take it even a step further back. And I agree with you that companies have core ranks, and I believe our core rank is an MC1, but there's stepping stone ranks along the way. We mentioned one of them earlier. You mentioned that getting to SC1 in your first 90 days gets you the extra $150 bonus. There's a reason that we do that. We're trying to create the kind of activity level that will give you the best chance of getting to that MC1 rank. You can do it through two sources, which can be customers or it can be both consultant organizations. There's a couple sources there, and we can get into those details in another forum. But here's the thing you have to understand is when people get to the MC1 rank, they probably have a team. They probably have some people that are in the process of learning this business. So you have a partner, you have an accountability partner, you have someone you're probably running with, you have someone that's having success of their own at this point. So you've overcome this idea of whether this is possible at that point. It's not luck at this point. You haven't just made the right phone call at this point. You've probably implemented some behaviors into your daily life. Because of that, what our company wants to do is tell the leadership above you that you're the person they should focus on. You're the one that deserves the mentorship. And it's not just the leadership above you. The company itself does something called a growth summit where they'll bring you into the corporate office. They bring you in for a couple days. They pay for airfare. They pay for all your accommodations. And then you get trained by the very leaders that have done something a little bit, more than where you're at. You get trained by the leaders who are maybe on a success path that's just a little bit further down the road than you are, so that it will help you, minimize mistakes. It will help you be able to provide information a little bit better. But it's because we recognize that at the MC1 rank, you've done something beyond just having, a lucky conversation. We understand that it's behavioral based. So we're going to invest in you. The company's going to invest in your leadership by paying leadership bonuses to the leaders who will now go down and help mentor you so that you can grow to the next level. It's a really, really important rank. I call it the core rank for those very reasons, is because we know that you've done something different, that you've separated yourself from the masses. Very, very important thing to know. But here's one other thing. Our company doesn't pay leadership bonuses for just, say, one person that hits MC1. We do this through 7 generations. So as your team, if you're an MC1, as you build other MC1s throughout your organization, the company does the same thing for them and pays your leadership and will also pay you those leadership bonuses for developing them through 7 more of those MC1 generations. And so what we're attempting to do here is to give you the ability to work deeper into your organization. We don't want you to only work in, say, the 9 levels of the team building piece. We want you to be able to look deep into your organization and recognize those people that have accomplished something that would separate them from everyone else. Give you the encouragement, give you the financial reward for working 20 levels or 30 levels or 100 levels down into your organization. And that's a compensation plan, you guys, that again is it's a little more complex at this level, but it's very, very important to know that we recognize the importance of you being able to work deep into your organization to create stability so that, again, you can have the financial stability long term that we're all looking for. We all want to build a business that will pay us for work that we did yesterday or last year or last month, right? We want to build those organizations. It comes from developing independence through recognizing MC1 ranks deep into your organization. So I love this part of the plan, you guys. It's probably the most aggressive piece of your income. Keep that in mind, that leadership is one of the things you'll learn as you move through the process. And the company invests in you, and it invests in your upline, it invests in your upline to actually give you that kind of mentorship. So it's very, very important.
I love that. Well, the next kind of, as you continue to do that, so we've talked about being rewarded for selling product. We've talked about how you start building teams within Fast Track to create urgency. We've talked about the subscription base in that build and grow section and the importance of getting to that MC1 rank. But the next ranks that you're really going to drive for is the executive ranks. And here you're being paid on all of the things we just talked about, all the levels, all the generations of leaders, but you're also starting to be rewarded in a couple of ways that I think are really, really incredible. The first is on that leadership match, which actually comes at MC2 that you talked about, where you have 7 generations of leaders that you earn on. But what I think is the most maybe impressive bonus in the entire comp plan, because it's about more than just money, it's about culture and the kind of company that we're creating, is the leadership pool bonus. So talk to me a little bit about the leadership pool bonus, how it works and why it matters, and not just on the personal level, but on like a company level.
Yeah, I think this ends up being, as you move through the process, one of the things that you're most proud of when you hit those ranks. It means that the leadership in this company has a natural organization. It means that when you're at an event or if you need a 3-way phone call done, there's an incentive for them to actually help you, whether they're your upline or not. And so it becomes cultural. It becomes one of those real team, family type environments is what it creates. And so it was important to us to make sure that the company would share in what the entire company does with all of those people who hit the top 5 ranks. We basically take 4% of the company's global volume, we put it into a pool, and if you qualify from the executive consultant 1 rank all the way to the presidential rank, anywhere in there, you'll progressively get more shares as you move through those ranks. So you'll get 1 share at EC1, you get 3 shares at EC2, you'll get 5 shares at EC3 and 10 at EC4, and then ultimately you get 20 shares when you hit the presidential rank. And you're properly structured, you're getting those 20 shares. Now, it fluctuates a little bit because volumes change and there's the number of people getting shares change, but it's roughly $1,000 per share, give or take a little bit either way. And so you can kind of do the math on that. I mean, how much of an incentive do you need to be willing to go out and use whatever experiences you've had and pass that on to the company? How much incentive do you really need to be willing to do that kind of stuff? Well, we believe that we have a massive incentive, especially at that presidential rank. I mean, at $1,000 a share times 20 shares, that's a lot of money. That's in addition to all the other bonuses to encourage the most successful people in the company to give that information and provide that mentorship for the entire company. And what a unique situation for us to be in. You know now that you can contribute to the overall volume and not just get paid from your contribution, but from the overall contribution, from the total contribution of everyone in the company. What an exciting thing to be a part of. I remember when I was just getting started in the industry, I was like, man, if I could just make a little teeny bit from these heroes of mine, from the people that I saw and said, I mean, man, if I had an organization as big as theirs, well, this plan that we have in sharing what they've already done means that at some level, their organization is yours. And I love that about our company. It's very, very good to know that I can count on other leaders in the company to give really good advice to my team. They don't have to just come to me for it.
So the last thing I want to talk about on this bonus, I love everything you said, like just makes so much sense. I love how well you articulate. But, earlier I talked about, you'll hear a lot of people say a simple plan is the best plan, and how that's not necessarily the case. The other thing I love about this bonus that I think debunks one of the biggest, just when people say this about this industry, I just cringe. And that's that you have to get in first to make money. Like when this company started and Tyler was one of our founding distributors, like they started with no revenue, like a global pool with no revenue. Like that's not any money. But as you grow, it's like you're being rewarded for people who did the work before you when you grow and you start to be able to earn this bonus. So talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I mean, basically what you're saying is there was zero incentive in the beginning. In fact, if you look at the life cycle of companies, that you have a lot of companies that are, they come into existence and they're out of existence in 4 to 5 years. And a bonus like this would mean nothing. In fact, any of the bonuses would mean nothing in that environment. So ideally, I mean, if you're looking at a company that's some, or you're coming from a company where someone said you have to be at the top or get in first to make all the money, that argument fails when you start to realize that you can join a company like ours at $200, $210, $220 million that is stable, that's beyond the chaos, that you can participate now in not just what the company's already done, which would have been getting in earlier at the ground floor phase, but you also get to participate in everything they do as they become a legacy company. I mean, think about how much greater it is to get paid a pool bonus from a $1 billion company than it is from, say, the company you just described, that one that's in its first 1 or 2 years. the billion-dollar company with the stability that comes from that, from the most likely from the financial security that comes from that, from the track record that comes from. Think about the bonus you're going to get from a company that's $1 billion versus one that's just getting started. We also said, why would we want there to be a disadvantage if you join our company today versus say 5 years ago? We wanted to give people the advantage. We wanted to give you all of the benefits of join. Even what if it's in 5 years from now? Wouldn't you want the benefits of a company in 5 years? If you're brand new in 5 years from now, the benefit of not having to experience the chaos of the beginning, the chaos of a startup. Wouldn't you want to know that all of the effort and the time and the volume and the exposure and the network of the distribution network that's been built, you can still participate as if you were there in the very, very beginning? I mean, that's the purpose of these bonuses. Why would we not want you to participate in everything that's already been done if you'll just go out and contribute a little bit more? It's a really, really big deal, you guys, that you understand how significant these sharing bonuses are. And I will just submit this to you guys too. People talk about this getting in first. I'm glad Kristen brought it up. They talk about getting in first or being at the very, very top. Timing is an interesting topic that I've done a lot of study on. Timing is not better to be first if you actually analyze what's going on in this industry. And the reason is because the likelihood of a company not making it through the chaotic period of a startup is the likelihood of them not making it is very, very high. Timing is actually, if you think about it, when a company has figured out who they are. Timing is actually better when a company is debt-free. Timing is actually better when they have the financial resources to grow and expand globally. Timing is actually better if you can find it just as they're emerging from the let's try it and see phase, that chaos phase. Timing is actually better if you can find a company that's just emerging from all that and their decisions are being based on data. Their decisions are being based on experience. Their decisions are being based on the fact that we know who we are, that we have a willingness to be competitive in today's economic environment, which is what we've been talking about today. Timing is actually better if you can capture a company that is just emerging all the chaos and the what if phase and going from that 200 million to $1 billion. That's where $800 million comes in, not 200 million. And so if you really think about it, you guys, if you want perfect timing, there's a lot of variables that would suggest that you're in the right place at the right time. And for me, one of those things is studying the history of our industry so that I know what does a company look like as they're getting ready to go through that enormous data-driven, organized phase where we know the behavior, how they're being paid. We have people that have reached the pinnacle of success. We have leadership in the company that knows where you can reduce, right? Timing is actually best when there's a track record that's proven, but the company is not a legacy company yet. That's actually the very, very best timing. It's why these share bonuses should really be appealing to people is because we're getting ready to go through that. And the share bonus is significant today. It's already significant. The share bonus is based on a $200 million company, not a brand new one. Okay. So I'll just kind of maybe throw one last thing in here, Kristen, is I'm excited about the messaging that our company has because we've answered two really, really important questions. Where's your proof? Number one, where's your proof? Number one on the products. And I would suggest that you go look and just ask yourself, what kind of proof do I want? Do I want it from a person that the company's paying, or do I want it from a true independent third party? Something that in real estate we would call an arm's length party. Do we want this proof from somebody that has no financial interest in the outcome at all, that they're just going to give you the proof? That's what I prefer, okay? But more importantly, once you have that question answered, how am I going to compensate you for telling the world to do it? Are they current? Are they modern? Or are they using some antiquated old plan? Do they have a pathway for the social marketer people? Do they have a pathway for the customer focused people? Do they have a pathway for the team building people? These are the questions that I think you need to have answered. And I think as you start to investigate our company, you're going to find out that we've answered both those questions in spades. I mean, we have this thing covered. Like if you want to know how competitive we are, how consistent we are, just ask a couple questions because we can explain to you why we pay people the way that we do. Coupled with the fact that we have a product that is second to none, that you cannot get in other places, that sets the foundation for all the activation that your body's going to go through, so that not only can you have the financial return that you're looking for, that longevity, that stability that you're looking for, the freedom that comes from that financial check, but when people understand these products, you're going to get it forever. You can experience life. I mean, at the end of the day, you guys, it's one thing to be rich and sitting on the couch because you're sick. And that doesn't sound appealing to me. It's a whole other thing to have a really significant income that you can now experience life. I mean, don't you want to have a passive income, a leveraged income? Don't you want to have an income that is now based on the efforts that you've put in years past, that is consistent and stable, and then have the best health possible so that you can create those memories. I mean, the goal here is you guys' memory. It's not really your bank account. It's the memories that come from it. So get yourself healthy, understand our products, get yourself healthy, and then get the financial return that's going to allow you to have those memories, experience life. I'm at a stage in my life where I get to experience it with my grandchildren. What an incredible time in my life. I'm so grateful that I'm healthy and that I'm financially stable. And I hope that for all of you. I want all of you guys to have that same experience.
Tyler, amazing. Like, I love how you just talk about these things so simply. Like, you can tell your years of experience just come through, but, it just makes sense. You do an amazing job of talking about it. So, thank you so much for taking the time to be here, for calling out these, you talk about nuances a lot when I work with you, calling out these nuances that, people can read the plan, understand the plan, but seeing just a little bit of a different level and the why behind it, I think is so helpful for builders as they're building their organization. So on behalf of all of Activation Nation, Tyler, thank you so much for all your time and the support that you give on a consistent basis. We appreciate you.
Well, I appreciate it. Thanks. I guess I'll see you guys out on the road.
There you go. Well, I hope you loved this podcast as much as I did. Again, we're so excited about our Evolve Compensation Plan and the many things that it offers, and hope you were able to look at it in a little bit different lens with this. Thanks, everybody.
As you think about how the Evolve Plan can benefit you, we encourage you to share this opportunity with your friends and family who might be looking for a rewarding business venture. By introducing them to the Evolve Compensation Plan, you can help them discover the potential for growth and success within the LifeVantage community. If you've enjoyed today's podcast, please take a moment to subscribe, rate, and review the Activation Nation podcast. Your feedback helps us to continue to provide valuable content to our community. Thank you for being a part of Activation Nation, and let's keep activating our potential together. Until next time.